Chapter 4, Part 1. A land that points to its monuments is a land that is dead. Proud-headed Venice, queen of cities, is now a sweet old lady with a lovely quiet in her face. The land that has the great mosque of Cordoba is like a giant gone to skin and bone. Petra in the desert is the city of ghosts. The little Paris that lies at the feet of the amazing Parthenon has as little in common with the city of Pericles as has, shall I say, Burton-on-Trent. In Ireland we have not had time yet to build monuments. If you come to Ireland as a friend, I was going to use, God forgive me, that the most horrible word in any language, tourist. You'll have to be content with kindliness and understanding, with purple heather and golden gorse, and a wind that may sweep you from your feet, but will sweep life into you. What you will see depends on your own mind. Names, little crannies in cities will work, if you are, in the words of the evangelist, unspotted from the world, their white eerie magic on you. The walls of Londonderry, will make your heart beat faster, for no gallantry in Froissart rivalled that of the 13 apprentice boys who locked the gates against James of the Fleeing and held the city for 8 long months, not only against King James but against famine and pestilence. On Loch Erdine, Erdegne, you'll find that St. Patrick's Purgatory, which enthralled the mind of medieval Europe, and which is still a place of devout pilgrimage. At Ballyshannon you may be fortunate enough to see the salmon, lying packed like sardines, awaiting the opportune moment to spring up the falls of Assaroe, springing 16 feet in the air against the foaming, roaring water. At Muckross Head in the county Donegal, the fantastic cliffs will hold you. In that one named the Market House, you will a blood brother of the rock, out of which the African sculpture hewed the fearsome Sphinx. In Donegal you will see the desolate Rosses, a tangle of small lakes and great granite boulders, and he who loses his way in the desert by night is the most luckless of beings. The great mountain of Donegal is Errigal, and its white cap is not snow but white quartz. From its top, on a fair day, you can see the Scottish Hebrides, Islay and Jura floating on the water like young brown gulls. Legend and literature enhance interest of many spots. From Hornhead, sometimes out of a mist will emerge the rocky battlements of Tory Island, like something evoked by an enchanter's wand. The roar of the Atlantic crashing into that cavern known as Maxwell's gun will shake the stoutest heart. Belfast is about as Irish a city as Paisley is. It is of no antiquity, and except for commerce, of no importance. But within easy reach of it are the Blue Mourne Mountains, the great Donn of Downpatrick, where the country folk say that St. Patrick, St. Bridget and St. Columcille are all three buried. Near Castle Upton are some ruined buildings of the Knights Templars. Of interest to all children of the widow are as a minor establishment founded by the knights who escaped to Harris. At Atrium is the greatest round tower of Ireland, nearly 100 feet tall. Near the town is Lough Neagh, the largest lake in the British Isles, bordered with orchids. At Ballinderry, Jeremy Taylor wrote his most important works, and near it, at White Abbey, Anthony Trollope wrote his autobiography. Near Carrickfergus, at Kilroot, Dean Swift had a living for a small time. North of Belfast at Larne, where some swine named a hamlet Waterloo, began the 9 glens of Antrim: Glename, Glencoy, Glenariff, Glenballymon, Glenaine, Glencorp, Glendun, Glenchesque, and Glentoe. Near Cushendall is Ossian's grave. Thackeray, how these English authors will philander after Ireland, called Glenariff a miniature Switzerland. I am certain that no critics of the author of Vanity Fair could arraign him more damnably than does his own phrase. Cushenden was once the home of Maura O'Neill. The beloved poet wrote of Cushenden when she composed her heart-breaking poem of Corrymeela. Over here in England, I'm helping with the hay, and I wish I was in Ireland the live long day. Weary on the English hay, and sorrow take the wheat, Corrymeela and the blue sky over it. Where Bruce took refuge. North of Antrim is Rathlin Island, or Rathgurry, as we of the Gaels call it. The stormy sea between Ireland and Rathgurry is called Sloch na Mara, or Gullet of the Ocean, and can only be sailed over in the finest of weather. Here is Bruce's refuge. The author of Westward Ho compares it to a drowned magpie, a figure over which I have pondered with no success. But then I am only an Irish author. It is a gallant little island with an immensity of birds. It is mentioned not only by Charles Kingsley, but by Ptolemy. Near Ballycastle is the famous Carrick a Reed, a rope walk over a chasm 60 feet wide and 90 feet deep, a couple of planks lashed together by rope. The handrail, also a rope, swings away from you as you cross. Your best help is the Lord's Prayer. I have seen a glensman carrying a sheep walk across it in a half gale. The Giant's Causeway nearby is more curious than beautiful. It is impossible not to think of these basaltic columns as other than artificial. The best time to see it is in a gale, when the telessated terraces are assaulted by a cavalry of foam. Parts of it are called by fantastic names: the Honeycomb, Lord Atrium's Parlour, the Organ, the Giant's Loom, the Gateway, and the Lady's Fan. Nearby is Portrush, our noted golf links, of which we know it is bad taste to boast, but we rather like seeing Scotsmen walking in from the 18th green, white-faced, broken men. Between Portrush and Derry is Coleraine, meaning the corner of ferns. It is the home of Coleraine whisky and possesses one of the finest temperance cafes in the world. Riot has wrought havoc in Dublin. To speak of Dublin as it is today is very difficult. Riot and civil commotion, and the act of the king's enemies and of the king's men, has given the finest city upon the say a tragic dignity. Great Dublin Castle, with its Birmingham Tower and its Devil's Half Acre, is now the Law Courts. The first fortress of the Danes was built here in AD 840. Christ Church still stands in Lord Edward Street. It was the famous Priory of the Holy Trinity, erected by the Danish king Sitrick in 1038. Lambert Simnel was crowned here in 1486. Near St. Patrick's Park, in the slums of Dublin, is St. Patrick's Cathedral, the home of Dean Swift. Museums, zoological gardens, and art galleries are such as any other city has. The Bank of Ireland building is the old Parliament House of Dublin, a squat structure opposite Trinity College. Dublin is rather a disappointing city except for its memories, which are mostly bitter. To see it at its best, one must go on a July evening to the slope of the Three Rock Mountain, and thence it seems like a miracle of silver afloat in the summer air. There is a multitude of curious facts about it, from the strange crypt beneath St. Mission's Church, where bodies will not decay, to the blind river Poddle that runs through it like the lost rivers of Rome, to the fact that Jules Verne wrote a novel about it called Funneling Mick. I can remember it in 1912 when our hearts were high and we hoped to bring about a pre-Union Dublin of merriment and enduring dignity. I'm afraid it is now a city of despair. Howth is northward, with its small islands of Island's Eye and Lamb Bay. Through Swords and Malahide one travels to Drogheda, whose whales still show the effect of the Lord's Protector's cannons, and whose river, the Boyne, shows so little effect of Ireland's greatest battle. Westward of Drogheda is Newgrange, famous for its Druid burial mound, with a passage of great stones 48 feet long, leading into a stone-roofed chamber. It is the oldest Celtic monument in Europe. The Norsemen are supposed to have rifled it, so that no man knows what it contained. That concludes part 1 of chapter 4.